Push on the beat.
Right. 31 August 2025. And today I'm going to be giving you my morning update as usual. And this is the last update of the month. And today we're waking up to multiple disputes between war veterans and many parties over land. So there is a lot of fighting between the Zimbabwe war veterans and many parties about land. So land being taken by groups aligned to war veterans, and war veterans losing land to people. And it appears all the fighting that was there before with war veterans saying they want change seems to be over. Now the fighting is more over land and access to resources. So if you look at today's newspapers, you will see that particularly there are a lot of disputes involving war veterans in Harare, in Marondera, and in other areas regarding land. So what is happening is that war veterans are trying to get their hands on land, and they are fighting over offer letters. So whether offer letters are valid or not, and it's appearing as if most of the offer letters that they've been given are not valid. So governments and departments and local authorities and private developers are rejecting the offer letters that have been given to war veterans. And this is resulting in these fights. So a case in point today is the case of Marondera. And if you go into the Standard newspaper, you see that there is a fight over land in Marondera where a smart city is being developed by a war veteran, but that letter is being rejected. So that is John Fadzisai Jani in Marondera. He's got a big piece of land, and that offer letter was given by Xavier Kasukuwere, who was the Minister of Local Government, according to the article, and it was also signed by Obet Mpov. But the council in Marondera is saying, or municipality is saying, that offer letter is not valid. Similarly, with the case in Harare, where an offer letter is being rejected and Windmill is in a fight with war veterans, we also have the case of Nyikavanu, which we're talking about here, where war veterans were given an offer letter and that offer is being rejected. This is on top of multiple other land disputes in Zimbabwe, because the only business left in Zimbabwe is selling stands. So there is no other business that is taking place, and war veterans have joined the bandwagon of taking land and parceling it out to different people. If you go into today's Standard newspaper, you'll see that there's no less than 4 or 5 disputes, including or involving war veterans. So war veterans are now distracted, especially the top leadership of the war veterans, and companies that belong to war veterans are fighting over land and involving themselves in these disputes. So all that expectation we had that war veterans are going to bring some change or something of that sort, it's over. There is no more expectation of such, because there is multiple fight over resources. They've got money that they've been given, and that money is creating so much fights among the war veterans. So that is very important. You can check it out in the Standard newspaper of today and multiple other sources. Many disputes that involve war veterans, like I said, and we're tracking all of them and we'll be updating you as time goes on. Now, let's quickly look at the news that has taken place overnight. Job Scholar has launched his book and has also given a description of the bombing at his house. He has had a interview at SABC overnight. So you can go and check out the interview by Job Scholar on SABC, where he has described everything that happened during the bombing and also shared pictures of the bombing. So the reason why Job Scholar is being bombed is because of the factional fighting within ZANU-PF. There is a belief that Job Scholar is working with General Chiwenga, and the people aligned to Mnangagwa are pushing against him because of that reason. So the bombing is coming according to sources from the Mnangagwa side, who believe that Job Scholar is somehow aligned to the Chiwenga faction. So that is why it has taken that 10. So that 10 of bombing, but you're going to see that developing, coming out. But that is basically why that is happening, why it is escalated. There's a belief among the Mnangagwa side that Scholar is somehow aligned to General Chiwenga, and that is the source information I'm getting from the sources. Currently, Chiwenga is in charge, and it appears that Mnangagwa is giving more and more responsibilities to Chiwenga when he's away. So, as you're aware, Mnangagwa left to meet the Pope, and Mnangagwa has met the Pope. Mnangagwa spent some time directly talking to the Pope, and then he has had a one-on-one meeting with the Pope. And it's not clear what the discussion was about, but I believe that this is more of a farewell meeting for Mnangagwa with Pope Leo. And this is, I did not see much of the interaction. This was not a meet and greet, it was more of a meeting, and there was some official ceremony that took place between Mnangagwa and the Pope. So maybe there'll be more information coming out. But what I saw was like a function or a ceremony of some sort where Mnangagwa was then taken into a room. He was able to sit down with the Pope and talk. I don't really know myself. I'm not a Catholic, so I don't know what the Pope does. But it appears as if Mnangagwa wanted to convey some sort of message to the Pope, or to confess, or something of that nature. Because remember, presidents also want to confess to someone, and they cannot exactly go and confess to a local priest. So maybe he's got something that he wanted to confess over there by the Pope. But what is clear is that Mnangagwa is no longer moving around a lot with Auxilia when he goes on overseas trips. Most of the time he's traveling alone. So Auxilia is not traveling with Mnangagwa overseas, although we've seen him with at the Harare Agricultural Show. So Mnangagwa is less and less with Auxilia when he travels outside the country. And my understanding is that from here, he's going to go to China. So Chiwenga is in charge in the meantime. And I think I saw him at a Methodist church addressing. So we'll check out that video. And we've seen many wearing the church attire of Harare District, East District, Ruwadzanu. That is very interesting. I've never seen her wearing. I thought she was Catholic, so I'm surprised to see her wearing the uniform of Methodist Church. Today is the day of, or the world is commemorating the day of enforced disappearances, and the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights have issued a statement. You're going to see the full statement on gAMBAKWE. We'll put it up there. And talking of women, Divine Ndlukula has been appointed as the Vice Chancellor of the Women's University in Africa. So let me get that right. So that is Divine Ndlukula. She's a popular businesswoman. She's been appointed as the Vice Chancellor of the Women's University in Africa. And that is at its 21st graduation anniversary in Harare. Ndlukula is the founder of Security Services, and she's well known around the country. The Women's University in Africa was founded in 2002 by Cynthia Hope Sadza and Faye Chung. And The first vice chancellor was Professor Hope Cynthia Sadza, and then currently the vice chancellor is Professor Sunungurai Dominica Chingarande. So that makes Divine Simbin Lukula the third vice chancellor of the university. She's very interesting. When I watch her, she's a very humble person, and she's always available to talk to people. So I think we've covered most of the stuff that I wanted to cover. And let's quickly go into the newspapers. So as a Sunday, it's a very busy day. So let's start with our local newspapers. So let's start with the Sunday Mail newspaper. As I said, today we were expecting Job Scholar to give an interview on what has happened with the bombing. However, he has given an interview to SABC, so you can go and check it out there. I don't think he's going to be presenting another different or separate press conference. But as I said, the bombing of Job Scholar is connected to factional fighting within ZANU-PF, as it is expected, or the Mnangagwa faction believes that Scholar is working with Chiwenga, according to my sources. That is why he's getting bombed. They believe that he is somehow connected with Chiwenga. Now let's look at the Sunday Mail newspaper. The President Mnangagwa meets Pope Leo the 14th at Vatican City State yesterday. So you can see here that the Pope is somehow getting a gift or giving a gift to Mnangagwa. They're sharing a gift. And you can see the ambassador to the Vatican here, Sekai Nzenza. I don't know who is the lady in black, but you can see that there is a big number of people here inside of this place. But I'm not seeing Sean. I saw Sean was in the plane, so I don't know why Sean didn't go in here into this room. It would have been nice for the young man to meet the Pope. So it said if you miss the opportunity to meet the Pope, maybe it was going to give him blessings. So I was shocked to see that he didn't see the Pope. It's crazy. And then let's see Sekruma Suka here. So as you're aware, right now, Kembo Mohadi is in Tanzania right now on his journey to look for the bones of the war veterans. And I don't know if these two pictures are related. So this is the agricultural show where Sekruma Suka is always near to Mnangagwa. Like I was asking you, what is Sekruma Suka? Is he a vice president or what? And then you can see here Vice President Chiwenga, acting President Chiwenga, in the Methodist Church, like I've shown you earlier on. Then let's look at other pictures. Let's see if there's anything else of interest. What is Jennifer doing here? Muswere launches Zik 540,000 tournament to fight drug abuse. So 540,000 is about 100,000, sorry, about $10,000. So that is $10,000 tournament to fight drug abuse. So this is mostly agricultural show stuff. And like I said to you, Divine Lukula has been appointed as chancellor. So apologies, I said vice chancellor. She's chancellor of the Women's University in Africa here. And then let's see if there's anything else. Air Zimbabwe is advertising. So there are new routes for Mutare. That is going to be from 8 to 14 September. And that is only a temporary schedule. $85 one way and $150 a return. So this is a very good rate, because if you were to hire a car in Zimbabwe, it will cost you a lot. So if you were to take this flight, then you'll be able to go in the morning, save on the flight, and return in the evening. So it's actually cheaper because there will be no hotels in Mutare. There are very few hotels. When I go to the Holiday Inn inside of Mutare, it's one of the most expensive holiday inns ever. And then University of Zimbabwe is congratulating Toyota intern program So I'll put this for you on gAMBAKWE so that you can see it. Let's see if there's anything else of interest here. I'm particularly interested in sport. Dynamos has won against Scotland 3-2. So this was a very good match. Although I didn't watch, I watched the goals. Dynamos trying to recover after a very bad start to the season. For the first time, Dynamos is almost getting relegated. And it's terrible. The position where they are is bad, but they're doing very well. I'll show you the league standings tomorrow morning when the H Metro newspaper publishes, because I can't see the standings here from this newspaper. So we'll summarize the important stuff for you inside of the Herald newspaper or the Sunday Mail newspaper later on. And then let's see what is in the Sunday News newspaper. So Sunday News, Zimbabwe, leading with the same story of Mnangagwa here. And then 70 Zimbabwean doctors. So 70 doctors in Zimbabwe are drug addicts. They are increasingly incapacitated. And let's see, more than 70 medical professionals in Zimbabwe are reported to be battling drug and substance abuse disorders. This was highlighted by the Minister of Health and says that I urge Zimbabwe Medical Association and regulators to strengthen ethics. So our own doctors are on drugs. That is on top of the soldiers last year, there was a revelation that a lot of guys in the army are on drugs. And this is because of the situation that is taking place in the country. Then the upgrades at JM Airport in Bulawayo, that is in the Chronicle, in the Sunday Mail newspaper. Let's see if there's anything else of interest here. So drugs are a big problem in Zimbabwe. It's becoming so bad. Every story you can see, here we also have a story on drugs. So 133 drug and substance abuse victims undergo NYS training. So this is the Daya Youth Service Training Center in Shawane is providing training for people who are suffering from drug addiction. So drug addiction is bad in Zimbabwe. People start with something small like weed, and then they go on and on until they become serious addicts on hard drugs. So Zimbabwe never used to have that situation, but at the moment, Zimbabwe is battling drug addiction. So we've seen the Chronicle here has put the league or log standings. So you can see that at the bottom, Dynamos is still with the 28 points. But now, what has happened is that all the teams at the bottom have got 28 points. So Dynamos, 28 points, Greenfield, 28 points, Yada, 28 points, Manika Diamonds, 28 points, Triangle, 28 points, and Picked Up Minerals, 29 points. What this means is that if Dynamos wins one more match, and they are now out of relegation zone. So this is quite within their reach for Dynamos to win here. As you can see, Highlanders are still stuck on 32 points, but they've not played a game. So the more these bottom teams stay like this, the safer it becomes for Dynamos. It's very embarrassing for Dynamos to be here. It has never happened before. And it's very important for them to win. And I hope that they do. Then let's go to South African newspapers. We're going to start with the Sunday Times. So let's see what is in the Sunday Times of South Africa. And I'm going to look here quickly at all abroad, the gravy plane to New York. So SA government officials splash out on the big apple for UN event. So a week into a new job, South Africa's top social worker, Sizakele Magango, blew more than 1 million on a trip to New York at taxpayers' expense, staying one of Manhattan's priciest hotel for more than 2 weeks and spending almost 200,000 on her flight. So that is Sindisiwe Chikunga. So I don't know what they were doing here, but they've spent a lot of money, and that is in the Sunday Times newspaper. And then let's see if there's anything else of interest here. More billions needed to save the post office. The South African post office is in liquidation. As you are aware, it is in liquidation, and they need more money to put it back into operation. So that is basically what we have here. And obviously, if there's anything of interest, we're going to give it to you during the day. Okay, I think this covers all that I wanted to cover on South African newspapers. You can always get the details during the day. I don't think there's anything else of interest that I want to cover here. In fact, let's look at Sunday World, and then we can bring it to an end. And I'll be back here later on if there's any update regarding Job Scholars bombing. So the bombing at Job Scholars' house is going to be topical the whole of today, as we want to find out how extensive the damage is. And also, he says 4 cars were damaged. So 4 cars damaged at Job Scholars' house. Okay, then body corporate guns for Mabitsela's property. So this is people struggling, and they are failing to pay amounts like 85,000 and so forth. So go check it out in the Sunday World newspaper. I think this covers all that I wanted to cover on the news. And you can see that more land disputes in Zimbabwe. The land issues are a big problem. 30 MPs have been displaced. So that is business tycoon. Let's see what his name is here. So Conrad Billy Rautenbach has been given land by gAMBAKWE, and he has displaced MPs, 30 MPs who were given this land between 2013 and 2018, who have taken him to the High Court. And these include Fortune Chasi, Theresa Makone, Jesse Majome, Webster Maondera, and Themba Mliswa were allocated land in Goromonzi, Mashonaland East Province as part of their remuneration. However, this land has been given to Billy as part of compensation by gAMBAKWE. And gAMBAKWE currently involved in multiple land disputes across Zimbabwe. So it's clear that land is now the commodity. That is what people are selling in Zimbabwe. Multiple people involved in land sales. But that's not all. War veterans also involved in many other disputes. So particularly the Zimba East Veterans Investment Company, ZVEC, is now facing a crisis after Mnangagwa's relative, known as Mambo, has intervened in the dispute and is accused of exerting influence on local government officials and Nyambira police to intervene in ZVEC disputes. So there is a dispute between retired Major George Monyo and other war veterans, and Mnangagwa is said to be involved in this dispute. So that is crazy. Mnangagwa also part of the disputes with the war veterans. So that is exciting and interesting. Mnangagwa in everything, and Jaka broker. Now let's look at our people. Let's start with Chamisa. Chamisa is tweeted, declaring God's good works, but it is good for me to draw near to God. I've put my trust in the Lord that I may declare all your works. I choose to occupy myself with utterances of the true men of God concerning Zimbabwe's future. Zimbabwe shall be the first and not the last. There is an infinite fullness of grace and all blessings treasured up in Jesus Christ for those who seek salvation. Zimbabwe is blessed and shall be saved. Zimbabwe shall be a nation of endless hospitality, unparalleled righteousness, and infinite politeness. Zimbabwe shall be a land of liberty, peace, happiness, and prosperity. Blessed Sabbath. God is in it. Chamisa, man. So let me like spend a bit of time on Chamisa. So we are now in September, and the big problem with Chamisa is he's losing engagement very badly. So look at this. So that is 19,000 people have looked at his tweet. That number never lies. That number, 19,000 there, it's telling you that less and less people are looking at Chamisa stuff. I'm not saying other people have got bigger engagement than Chamisa. What I'm saying is we've got a government in waiting that is needed. So you need a government in waiting. And 3 years before you become president, it should be clear that there's pressure on the people that are contesting with. Chiwenga is doing very well right now. Mnangagwa is under pressure from Chiwenga. So Chamisa must be putting more pressure on Mnangagwa so that Mnangagwa feels the heat and resultantly Chiwenga feels the heat. It's not that we don't like Chiwenga, but we don't want a ZANU-PF government. So myself, I don't prefer the next government to be ZANU-PF. So what we want is the opposition to be so strong that even Chiwenga, as popular as he is among ZANU-PF, won't win. So at the moment, the way things look, there is no incentive for a ZANU-PF person to not vote for Chiwenga and vote for Chamisa because he's not doing enough. So he's not doing enough. You rarely see a picture of Chamisa, even a picture. It's very rare. So we need Chamisa to show up if he's going to be a candidate. But as I said, I believe that Chamisa won't contest in the next elections. I'm almost 90% sure that Chamisa won't contest. However, because he's hanging around and not saying that he's not going to contest, it's going to make it difficult for the opposition to get ready. So it's very important for Chamisa to clarify his position. Is he just running a movement? Is he going to contest? Similarly, it's important for Job Scala. And I've said this yesterday. You can't have people who just say we are a movement or we are a grouping. Someone has to declare their candidates. And so far, the only person that is declared on the 26th of September will be President gAMBAKWE. So that is the only person that we have declared by that time. Guys, jokes aside, this is very important. You can't have an opposition 2 years from the election that doesn't know who is going to be the main candidate. We need a main candidate. And these guys are afraid of declaring. It is not declaring. Scala is not declaring. Chamisa is not declaring. We need an opposition candidate who is going to push so that we say, this is the guy we're going to all fall behind. And in September, we're going to have to deal with that situation. It's crazy. In the 2018 elections, by 2017, 2015, there was already pandemonium working on the election. There was so much pressure for the 2018 election by 2015. And at the moment, there's no such pressure. It's just the games or the usual games. All right. Your non-existent sources, bro, I believe the bomb like lie. Yes. Why do you think they bombed Scala? Mkoma Peter. Why do you think they bombed Scala? Think about it. Out of the blue, they just bombed Scala. Why? My sources are very clear about what's happening. They believe that Scala is working with Chiwenga. That is what I've been told by my sources. That's why they're bombing him. It's not that it's true. That is what they believe. They believe that Scala is working with Chiwenga, so they've decided to bomb him. As you can see, a lot more people are coming back into ZANU-PF. The reason why they're coming, everyone believes that Chiwenga is going to be taking over. There is no question about it right now. They may fight, but it is becoming more and more clear that Mnangagwa won't be able to extend. There will be an attempt in October, the ZANU-PF annual conference, to extend his term to 2030. But it's becoming more and more clear that there's no appetite for it. So a coalition between Chiwenga and a member of the opposition will be quite dangerous to Mnangagwa's faction, the Chigananda faction. So they're trying to find a way of destabilizing Scala. And Scala said it himself, that there is a possibility that he can be taken out. So he said it yesterday. Unfortunately, our sound was so bad and our network was so bad yesterday because we're underground. So the room where we were was at the bottom and the network was very poor. So when I was reviewing the video, it became clear to me that our video was not very good. But it's clear, you can go to SABC, they've got a clear video of Scala speaking yesterday. There is a belief that when Chiwenga comes in, he's going to go hard against the guys who have been corrupt. So what you're seeing is not just Mnangagwa. It's also guys around Mnangagwa that are pushing. That is why you're also seeing all the land disputes. So these disputes are coming from people wanting to grab something before Mnangagwa is gone. So that is what is happening. They're trying as much as possible to grab as much as possible before Chiwenga comes in. And there is going to be that attempt also to take people out, to say, what if we take this one out? What if we take this one out? So it's not going to be safe for a lot of people. But it's clear that Mnangagwa has given up. Mnangagwa himself has given up. He doesn't believe that he can go to 2030. I don't think Mnangagwa can go to 2030. But obviously, the people that are around him want to make that path clear. All right. Yes, Itai Dzamara still not found. And Jonathan Moyo knows where and what happened. All right, I think we've covered everything. Let's see if there's something else that I haven't covered here. Right, I think most of it is covered. And the biggest story being obviously the fact that currently there are multiple land disputes involving war veterans fighting on many, many fronts over land. So that is in Harare, in Marondera, they're fighting over land. And gAMBAKWE at the middle of most of these disputes, although there are other people who are being said have got fake offer letters. So like in Marondera particularly, the offer letter was signed by Seveka Square and also by Obet Mpofu. And it appears that those are not valid according to the council. So there are fights in court, multiple fights in court over land, because land is the only thing now for sale in Zimbabwe. People just buy land and sell it. There's insatiable demand for land. And Zimbabwe, a big mess. If you look at people, how they're building, they build over here, they build over there. And at the end of the day, there's no connection. And the next month, you see some people setting up some squatters with no particular standard. Look at what has happened in Rua. There used to be a nice, beautiful area there where I used to live. When I drove past, there is almost high density next to the low density. The area around Sunway City, the area around Zimri Park, you now have all sorts of funny houses over there that have just come up because there's no planning taking place. People just build wherever they want. So eventually you have to replan the whole thing. I think at the moment, Bulawayo is the only place that is left where there's a little bit of sanity. But in Harare, a big, big mess taking place with people just building everywhere. I think I've forgotten to look at our people. So let's look at our people on Facebook very quickly before I go. And I want to see who is saying what on a weekend. So let's check out, remove the banner, and then connect. Right. So there's Oppo over here. But let's start with Mini, what is Mini showing us today? Soon after arriving from India this morning, with the honor to attend. So she didn't put a picture, but let me give you the picture again. So that is Mini over here, wearing the Methodists of Zimbabwe. Shit, that's crazy. I cannot believe it. And then let's look at Madam Boss. Madam Boss, what is she saying? Shirikadzi. Mutenge, please, ndisati ndafenda. I know Pawingidi Imbosea Bodo. I don't know what she's talking about. But look at her. She's doing very well. It's probably the best socialite ever in Zimbabwe. So she's doing very, very well. Advertising for many, many companies. Omari, I think Omari is Old Mutual, which is doing quite well. And you can go check out some of these products. So many, many adverts here. Let's see who else we can look at. Let's look at President Hakainde Hichilema. There is an ecological disaster in Zambia. So the First Lady, Mutinda, and I were honored to welcome His Excellency, President Chiwenga. So President Chiwenga has arrived in Zambia. So look at that. That is amazing. I don't know what those guys are called. We have this dance, but they used to scare the hell out of me. When I used to see these guys, I used to be so scared. So President Chiwenga is facing an election, and he has met with President Hakainde Hichilema. That is amazing. Mozambique and Zambia. I don't see the full statement there, but it looks like. So let's read the full post for context. It says, at the Yesu Kulamba traditional ceremony in Katete, we thank them for celebrating us with the rich heritage that unites the Chewa people of Zambia, Malawi, and Mozambique. The Chewa people, they are very interesting people, especially this part. I used to be so scared of these people when I used to live in Zimbabwe, in a certain place where there were a lot of them. And they would be running around doing their traditional dances, and it was crazy. So I think we've covered everything, nothing new from SADC. I don't know if President Dumaboko is fine because he hasn't posted for a long time. I think, remember, he had a health scare some time back, and I hope that is fine. 25 August, that is when he last posted, according to his Facebook page. Here, I'm very concerned about President Dumaboko because normally he posts on a daily basis. So remember last month, he had a health scare, so I hope that is fine because he's not posting at all recently. Very rare for him to go 6 days without posting. So I think I've covered everything, and I'll see you guys later on during the day. And I think congratulations to Divine Ndlugula over here. She's doing very well. And then I'll see you guys if there's any other news during the day. We're going to present it to you. If Job Scholar is going to have a press conference, we'll see if there's a need. But I think he's covered it on the SABC interview. I would like to thank all of you for watching. I'll see you again later on today. And a good day to you all.